Hi, in this video you're going to learn how to create the camera bump. This can be slightly tricky because first you need to extrude a certain region for the lenses, then carve 3 different holes for the 3 different lenses, for the flashlight and for the LiDAR scanner. You will learn exactly how to approach that while maintaining a good clean topology.
Hello and welcome back again inside of Blender. And the first thing I'm going to do is to select the iPhone body. I'm going to jump again to the edit mode by hitting 3. I'm going to select this loop, first of all by switching to the edge selection mode and then hitting 3 from the number pad. And as you can see, the cameras needs to be a little bit extruded right here. There is this plate that is on the back side of the iPhone that we need first to create, and on that plate we will put all the different cameras. I will do E for extrude and hit Y to only extrude on the Y axis, and let's say something like so. And then I'm going to hit Control 1 to jump to the backside view, or actually 1 to jump to the backside view. Oh wait. Are we working in reverse? So Control 1, okay, yes, everything is working fine. And I'm going to extrude this edge a little bit into the inside to create this edge right here. Hit E for extrude and S to extrude based on the scale, and let's say something like so. And as you remember, whenever you do extrude and then scale, Blender will extrude one side more than the others, and we need to adjust for that. That's why you can hit SZ to scale it a little bit on the Z axis until you get something looking like so. And the next thing we're going to do is to fill this entire shape with a grid fill. For the grid fill, make sure you select your entire loop and make sure that the first or the active selected vertices is this one right here. If it is another one, all you need to do is just hold shift and select this one again, and it will be the active vertices. This does matter when using the grid fill because that's the point that Blender will consider number 1 when doing the grid fill, and by doing that you will get the exact same shape I'm looking for, and the same one that I will be using in terms of how all the different squares are distributed. Go Control F and grid fill. By default you will get something like this, and probably you can play a little bit with the offset until you get a better result. Let's try to keep it at 0 and choose simple blending, and I feel like it's a little bit tilted to the side. That's why I will rotate it this way, offset by 1, and I think this one is slightly better because we're getting a more even distribution of the different squares. All of these lines sadly are not straight as we want them to be, but it's not a big deal because this is, at the end of the day, is just a flat surface, so the way all of these squares are distributed is not detrimental. Broadly speaking, flat surfaces are very forgiving when it comes either to n-gons, as in faces with more than 4 points, or even surfaces where you don't have a very clean or very well distributed number of quads, let's say. That's why I'm going to leave it at this, and right now jump directly into how we will create all of the different camera lenses. Let's switch to the X-ray mode by hitting Alt-Z, and we will start by creating this first camera right here. Make sure you are in the vertex selection mode, and let's select all of these points right here along with both of these. Hit X and then delete the faces, or actually we need to delete the vertices. Delete the vertices and you will get the following shape. You can probably even select all of these different points, J, X, and move them slightly like so. As I said, it's not a big deal that you change a little bit the distribution, all the different quads, because flat surfaces are forgiving when it comes to these stuff. Next, I'm going to do the same exact thing but on the other side. Let's select all of these different vertices, X, and then delete the vertices, and we created this camera cutout for this lens, JX, JX, JX. Lastly, we need to do the same exact thing for these ones, so select these points, X, and then delete the vertices, and this is looking good. Next, we need to select this inner loop. So from this point, and while you're holding control to this point, control to this point, control to this point, hit E for extrude, S to extrude on scale, so we can extrude it inside. And the really nice thing, we do have a tool inside the loop tools, which is called circle. So once you click on this, it will turn that selection into a circle. And that way we will get the following shape. And all we need to do is to just adjust it slightly as the camera lens. We will do the same exact thing on the other side, control to select from each vertices to another, and then hit E for extrude, S, loop tools, circle, J to move it slightly down, and this is looking very nice. Let's finally do the same exact thing, but for the other one, E for extrude, S, and loop tools, circle. This is too big, so S for scale, and let's just make sure it is the same exact scale, and you can always rotate it in case you notice that the edges are not well distributed. And yeah, this is looking very nice. Next, let's work on, I think this is the flashlight, and this should be very simple also to create. So just select both of these 2 points, X, and then delete the vertices, and I might actually move both of these slightly, JX on the X-axis. Select this loop, E for extrude S, loop tools, circle, scale it a little bit down. We will do the same exact thing for, is this the microphone? I think it's the microphone. I will delete this vertice, X, delete the vertice, move both of these by doing JZ to move them slightly up, just like so. Select this loop, E for extrude S, loop tools, circle, and scale it down until you get something like so. And lastly, this is the LiDAR scanner, I think. Select these 2 vertices, X, delete the vertices, select the loop, E for extrude, S, and loop tools, circle, and just scale it way down until you get something looking like so. Let's zoom out a little bit, and we managed to create all the different cutouts that we need, and you will have something looking like so. You might notice that these faces, for whatever reasons, are a different color than these, and this is actually a problem of normals. A normal is basically to tell Blender where the face is pointing. So is the face pointing to the outside or to the inside? And to fix this issue, just hit A to select the entire mesh and hit Shift N to recalculate normals, and the problem will be fixed. Let's exit the X-ray mode for a second, and you will have something looking like so, which is very neat, as you can see. And in the next couple of videos, we will start extruding and creating all the different cool stuff that sits in these camera holes. This was a quick one, but it is important that you take a little bit of time to actually nail the shape of these different lenses, especially that I know that it can be very delicate to find the exact mesh flow and how everything should flow to get something that looks halfway decent, let's say. This is by far the most complicated part of this tutorial, to actually create these camera holes. So if you're done with this, I will see you in the next one, and I promise you everything will start to get easier from here on. And as usual, make sure to save your file.